So in the first 6 months of your baby's life, you're going to lean over and execute this like really complex, high-stakes logistical maneuver roughly 1,800 times.
Which is just a staggering number when you say it out loud.
Right. 1,800 diaper changes. I mean, if you are preparing for a newborn right now, you probably think of the nursery as this peaceful, static room.
Oh, absolutely. Like a beautiful museum exhibit.
Yeah, exactly. The lighting is soft, the plush animals are perfectly placed. But you bring that baby home, and suddenly that peaceful room transforms into a high-volume logistics center.
It is an abrupt shift. It goes from being this idealized design concept to, well, a fully operational triage unit in a matter of hours.
And the absolute epicenter of that operation is the changing station. And I see your background today is perfectly matching this vibe. You've got the bright, modern nursery aesthetic going on. But I also see a few chemistry lab beakers tucked on the shelf back there.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty fitting for today.
They really are. Because today, we are diving deep into how to build the ultimate safe and sanity-saving diaper-changing station. And we've gathered a massive stack of sources for you.
We really have. There's a lot of material to cover.
Definitely. We're looking at baby registry guides from Babylist and Gerber. We've got these eco-conscious deep dives from Green Snooze and Leaf Score.
And we also pulled from parent forums on Reddit, which I think is crucial.
Oh, yeah. The raw, unfiltered dispatches from the parenting trenches. So our mission today is to cut through all the overwhelming product marketing and help you figure this out. Okay, let's unpack this. With 1,800 changes looming, where do we even begin?
Well, we have to start at the fundamental divide in parenting philosophy. Before we look at any of the chemistry or the textiles, you have to decide what kind of physical surface you are going to build this operation on.
Right, the actual base layer.
Exactly. You are essentially choosing between two camps. Do you want a soft, fabric-covered pad, or do you want a hard, wipeable one?
Ah, yes. The great wipeable versus washable debate. I was reading through the Reddit threads you pulled, and people are fiercely divided on this.
They really take their side seriously.
They do. But before we get to the battle lines, what's the actual physical baseline we're talking about here? I mean, what makes a changing pad different from just, throwing a towel on a dresser?
It really comes down to biomechanics and physical dimensions. A standard changing pad is usually 70 centimeters long, 50 centimeters wide, and crucially 10 centimeters high.
Okay, wait, why is the height so crucial? Is that just for aesthetics?
No, that thickness isn't arbitrary at all. Dresser tops are completely unforgiving, hard surfaces, and an infant's spine and skull are still developing, right? Plus, their head is disproportionately heavy compared to the rest of their body.
Oh, right, of course.
So you need that 10-centimeter foam density to absorb the physical impact when you lay them down, and it provides vital neck support during the actual wiping process.
Got it. So the geometry is basically non-negotiable. But the surface material is where the war starts. On one side, you have the wipeable camp. These are parents swearing by products like the Kikaroo Peanut or the Skip Hop Pad, which actually includes these cute little toys attached to it.
Which is a nice distraction feature.
Totally. Or there's the Hatch Grow Smart, which frankly blew my mind. It has a built-in wireless scale so you can weigh the baby during changes.
Oh, it's very high-tech.
Yeah, and looking at the forums, the main argument for these is just sheer survival, right?
Oh, the Reddit users were unequivocally clear on this point. Newborn blowouts are relentless. They happen multiple times a day.
Right. And if you have a wipeable pad, you just take a baby wipe, clean the surface, and you're done. Skipping the laundry saves your sanity.
It really does.
But, I have to push back a little here. When I look at those solid, rubbery, wipeable pads, all I can think of is a cold doctor's exam table.
I can see that.
Sure, it's incredibly easy for the doctor to sanitize, but who wants to lie naked on that?
Well, what's fascinating here is that this debate isn't actually just about laundry versus comfort. It's really about optimizing parental energy versus psychological comfort.
How so?
You have the washable camp arguing that babies fuss significantly less when they are placed on a warm, soft fabric surface. And mathematically, a calmer baby means a faster diaper change.
Oh, I see. Which means the parent gets back to sleep quicker.
Precisely. It's an energy-saving tactic in its own way.
Which is a huge variable. If you're waking a baby up at 3 a.m. and putting their bare skin on a cold, room temperature plastic surface, the cold shock is going to make them scream.
And suddenly the whole house is awake.
Exactly. But regardless of which style you lean toward, the sources mentioned there are mechanical safety features you have to look for, right?
Yes, absolutely. You need raised edges to physically block the baby from rolling off. Ideally, you want four-sided contouring for a newborn to really cradle them securely.
Four-sided. Okay, so raised on the top, bottom, and both sides.
Right. However, a two-sided contour, where just the long sides are raised, will actually last you much longer. As the baby grows taller, their feet won't awkwardly hit that bottom foam ridge.
That makes total sense.
And of course, a physical safety buckle anchored to the pad is an absolute must, no matter the style. That's non-negotiable.
Okay, but let's follow the causality here. If you decide to go the washable route, or even if you have a wipeable pad, but you realize you want to put a cover over it to stop that cold shock crying.
Which a lot of parents do.
Right, the materials you choose for that cover open up a whole new rabbit hole. We aren't just talking about picking a cute color for the nursery anymore.
Not at all. The textile you introduce directly impacts both the baby's thermal regulation and their dermal hygiene. You really have to approach this seasonally.
Yeah, the registry guides mention switching materials based on the weather, like fleece or plush polyester is great for trapping heat on cold winter nights. But for summer, you want highly breathable materials like muslin or cotton so the baby doesn't overheat. But the fabric that kept popping up over and over again was bamboo.
Bamboo is everywhere right now.
Why is bamboo suddenly the holy grail of baby bedding? I look at a bamboo stalk and I think of, like, pandas and hardwood floors. How on earth do they turn a rigid wood stalk into a fabric?
Hey, this is an incredible process, actually. The cellulose from the bamboo is extracted and spun into fibers. This mechanical and chemical process creates a textile with microscopic gaps in the weave.
Microscopic gaps.
Yeah, and that structure is what gives bamboo its two superpowers for a nursery. First, the resulting fabric is incredibly soft. It genuinely rivals high-end silk or cashmere.
Wow, real?
Yes, which is great because it prevents physical friction on a newborn's highly sensitive skin.
Okay, and what's the second superpower? Because the sources were raving about how practical it is.
Well, those microscopic gaps give bamboo natural moisture-wicking properties. If there's a minor accident or just sweat from a warm baby, the fabric acts like a capillary.
Meaning it pulls the moisture away.
Exactly. It pulls the moisture away from the baby's skin and spreads it out to evaporate quickly. It keeps the skin dry, which is your primary defense against diaper rash.
That makes a lot of sense. And visually, if you are designing this nursery, these covers are a brilliant way to tie a theme together without breaking the bank.
They really are.
Brands like Little Unicorn, Harp Angel Boutique, Gerber, they have these gorgeous woodland creatures, modern geometric prints. It's a lot cheaper to buy a few $20 covers than to wallpaper a room.
For sure. But there is a golden rule from the forums that we should mention. If you use covers, have at least 4 on hand.
Yes, because when you get a mess at 3 a.m., you want to strip it, throw it in the hamper, and slap a clean one on.
You never want to be doing laundry in the middle of the night, just to have a functional changing station.
Now, I have to ask about a word that is plastered like a neon sign all over these baby guides. Organic. Everything's organic. Cotton this, organic muslin that.
It's a very popular buzzword.
Right, and when I read that, I immediately get cynical. Is organic just a marketing gimmick designed to extract an extra $20 from tired, anxious parents?
That is a very valid skepticism. The baby industry is notorious for greenwashing. That's where a company uses vague, earthy-sounding buzzwords to sell a product without actually changing their highly synthetic manufacturing practices.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about.
But true organic materials have a profound biological impact here.
Okay, then how do you tell the difference between greenwashing and a textile that actually protects the baby?
You basically bypass the marketing copy entirely and look for the GOTS certification. That stands for Global Organic Textile Standard.
GOTS, okay.
But here is the critical part. You don't just look for a little green logo on the box. You look for the specific GOTS ID number on the tag or the brand's website.
So it has to be verifiable.
Exactly. If they don't have that verifiable ID number, the claim is meaningless.
But mechanically, why does it matter so much for a changing pad cover? I mean, it's just a sheet they lay on for 5 minutes.
Because conventional cotton is one of the most heavily pesticide-treated crops on the planet, and the process doesn't stop at the farm. After it's harvested, those fibers are heavily bleached and treated with synthetic dyes.
Right, okay.
We have to remember that a newborn's epidermis is significantly thinner than an adult's. It is highly permeable.
Oh, wow. So they're absorbing it.
Exactly. Placing them on conventionally treated cotton 10 to 12 times a day means their skin is absorbing trace amounts of those agricultural and chemical residues. which frequently triggers contact dermatitis and mysterious rashes.
Okay, I'm completely tracking with you. We find a verifiable, GOTS certified, beautifully soft organic cover. We've got our homework.
Sounds good so far.
But then I read the deep dive from Lease Score, and it completely popped my bubble.
Yeah.
Because what is the point of meticulously sourcing an organic cover if the actual foam pad underneath it is off-gassing toxic chemicals right into the baby's face?
Exactly. And this brings us right to the beakers on my shelf. Welcome to the hidden chemistry of waterproofing.
I knew the beakers would come into play.
This is where it gets incredibly tricky, because plastic is currently the only viable way to completely waterproof a changing pad.
And as we've established, the messes are liquid. You absolutely need waterproofing.
You do.
But the standard pads, like the ones you see in every big box store, are made of polyurethane foam, and they are wrapped in PVC, which is vinyl. And the sources say these are often saturated with toxic flame retardants and phthalates.
That's right.
I really need you to explain this to me because I hear phthalates and off-gassing all the time, but what is actually happening chemically?
Let's break down the layers.
Yeah.
First, the core is polyurethane foam. This foam is highly flammable by nature. Historically, to meet federal fire safety standards, manufacturers doused this foam in heavy chemical flame retardants.
Okay, that sounds bad.
It is. Foam is essentially millions of tiny air pockets. During manufacturing, volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, get trapped in those pockets.
So it's like a giant sponge soaking up chemical air.
Exactly. Now, wrap that sponge in PVC. PVC in its natural state is rigid. Think of a hard white PVC pipe under your sink.
Yeah, totally rigid.
Right. To make it into a soft, pliable cover for a baby to lay on, manufacturers have to add chemical plasticizers called phthalates.
So the phthalates are what make the hard pipe feel like a soft yoga mat.
Yes. Think of phthalates like chemical grease added to a chain link fence so it can bend.
Right.
Here's the problem. That grease doesn't chemically bond to the plastic, it just sits between the molecules.
Uh-oh.
When you lay a warm baby on this pad, the baby's body heat acts as a catalyst. It warms up the PVC, causing those phthalates to release into the air.
Wow.
Simultaneously, the heat compresses the foam, pushing those trapped VOCs out. That entire process is off-gassing, and it creates a localized cloud of chemical vapor exactly where the infant is breathing.
That is terrifying when you visualize it like that. So what is the alternative? The eco-guides mention TPU, thermoplastic polyurethane, as a step up. They describe it as a high-tech raincoat. Why is TPU safer than PVC?
It comes down to molecular structure. TPU doesn't need chemical grease. At a molecular level, it is naturally elastic. It's like a rubber band rather than a greased chain link fence. Oh, I see. It doesn't degrade, crack, or release plasticizers because it doesn't need them to stay soft. Because of this structural stability, it's considered an inert material. It's actually used heavily in biomedical applications and modern cloth diapers.
Okay, so TPU is a huge upgrade. But then Leaf Score highlights what they call the gold standard, which is food-grade polyethylene made from non-GMO sugarcane.
Yes, that's an excellent material.
Brands like Naturepedic are using this. It's a bioplastic that meets the absolute strictest requirements like GOTS, Made Safe, and Green Guard Gold. But I still find myself wondering, is any plastic, even bioplastic, actually safe for a baby to be pressed up against?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture and look at the biological reality of what you are dealing with on a changing table,
Yep.
you are managing human waste.
Fair point.
If you don't use an impermeable waterproof barrier, the foam core will absorb the moisture. Once moisture hits dark, warm foam, you will grow mold, mildew, and bacteria within days.
Ugh, yeah, that's true.
And inhaling mold spores is an immediate, severe respiratory hazard to an infant.
Wow. Okay, so the mold is a much faster, more immediate danger than the bioplastic.
Without a doubt. Plastic is a necessary evil in this specific application. But you can absolutely mitigate the risks. First, choose the most inert plastic you can find, like the sugarcane polyethylene.
Makes sense.
Second, and this is a brilliant mechanical fix, use a wool puddle pad.
Wait, hold on. Wool. If I put a baby on a wool pad in the middle of July, won't they overheat? How does a wool pad prevent mold without roasting the kid?
It sounds counterintuitive, but wool is a biological marvel. A wool fiber has a scaly hydrophobic exterior, meaning it naturally repels liquid water.
Okay.
But the interior of the fiber is porous and absorbs water vapor. So you place this very thin, tightly woven wool pad over the plastic changing pad and under your organic cotton cover.
Ah, so it's sandwiched in there.
Exactly. When a leak happens, the exterior scales stop the liquid from hitting the plastic, but because it's breathable, it allows air to circulate, evaporating the moisture and completely disrupting the environment mold needs to grow.
That's amazing.
And because it breathes, it actually regulates temperature, keeping the baby cool in summer and warm in winter.
That is an incredibly elegant solution from nature.
It is, but I have to add one more crucial mitigation step for the textiles. You must always wash new covers before you use them, even if they are 100% GOTS certified organic cotton.
Just to wash off the factory dust.
Factory dust, shipping container residues, and importantly, AZO dyes.
Right, the sources mention those.
Yes, they specifically warned about AZO dyes, which are cheap synthetic colorants. As they break down from friction or a baby's sweat, they can release aromatic amines, which are known carcinogens that can be absorbed through the skin.
Wow, so you really have to wash them.
Always. You always want to look for AZO-free labels. But washing new items with a plant-based detergent adds a necessary layer of physical removal. And skip the dryer sheets, they just coat the fabric in chemical fragrances. Use natural wool dryer balls instead.
My head is spinning a little with all the thermodynamics and chemistry. We've built the ultimate, non-toxic, structurally sound, scientifically backed changing station.
We have the theory down perfectly.
But let's step out of the pristine laboratory and get down into the trenches. Because I loved reading the Reddit forums for this deep dive. The difference between the theories and the registry guides and the raw reality of day-to-day parenting is vast.
It really is. The forums offer a masterclass in sociological adaptation. How do parents actually survive the 3 a.m. changes?
Exactly. Let's look at what the Reddit users called the hybrid hack. This was from parents who bought those firm, wipeable plastic pads because they refused to do laundry. But predictably, their babies were experiencing that cold shock, crying, every single time.
So how did they solve the thermal issue without giving up the wipeable surface?
They invented a brilliant compromise. They take a simple muslin burp cloth or a small receiving blanket, and they lay it horizontally just underneath the baby's head and torso.
Oh, that's clever.
Right. It provides thermal comfort and gives the baby's hand something tactile to grip, which instantly soothes the nervous system. But they leave the bottom half of the pad, the danger zone where the actual diaper change is happening, completely bare.
That is fantastic. You get the psychological comfort where the baby's core needs it and the sheer utility where the parent needs it.
Totally. And for the really cold winter nights, parents deployed the heating pad trick. They take a standard electric heating pad, set it on low, and place it directly on the wipeable pad for about 5 minutes before the change.
Just warming the surface up.
Yeah, you pull the heating pad off, lay the baby down on the pre-warmed rubber, and there is zero crying.
It's a perfect application of thermodynamics to save your sanity.
But then there's what I like to call the disposable route. For those first few weeks, when newborn digestion is completely chaotic and unpredictable, parents are literally buying packs of puppy bee pads.
Puppy pads, really?
Yes. They just lay a puppy pad right on top of their beautiful, meticulously researched changing station. If a blowout happens, they roll up the puppy pad and throw it in the trash. Zero laundry. Zero wiping.
You know, it really highlights the psychological burden of those early days. Sometimes strict environmental ideals have to be temporarily paused just to ensure maternal and paternal survival.
Exactly.
The psychological relief of just throwing the mess away when you are running on 2 hours of sleep cannot be overstated.
I completely agree. But out of all the raw dispatches from the forums, the hack that really made me laugh was the floor strategy. Multiple parents pointed out that right around the 6-month mark, babies go through a massive developmental leap.
Yes, the rolling phase.
Yeah, they learn how to roll over. And the parents described their babies turning into, quote, rolling alligators.
Rolling alligators. That is a highly accurate biomechanical description. At 6 months, infants suddenly develop immense core strength and rotational mobility.
One parent said that trying to put a diaper on a rolling alligator is like trying to wrestle a caffeinated octopus. They are twisting, flipping, grabbing, everything.
I can completely visualize that.
And because of this sudden shift in the baby's center of gravity, many parents realize it is widely dangerous to have a wrestling match on a piece of furniture 3 feet off the ground. So they completely ditch the changing table.
Really? Just abandon it.
Yeah, they move the entire operation to the living room floor or the center of a large bed.
Which is a completely logical adaptation for physical safety. The risk of a fall becomes too great.
Wait, This is where I really have to push back on the whole registry industrial complex. If I'm going to end up wrestling my kid on the living room rug in 6 months anyway, why on earth should I bother investing over $100 in a non-toxic sugarcane bioplastic changing pad?
It does seem counterintuitive.
Like, why not just buy the cheapest foam pad possible if it's only a temporary setup?
This raises an important question, doesn't it? It challenges how we value the life cycle of baby gear, and more importantly, how we value our own bodies. Yes, 6 months seems like a very short duration in the grand scheme of childhood.
Right.
But let's look at the math again. 10 to 12 changes a day for 6 months. That is roughly 1,800 diaper changes.
1,800 maneuvers.
Exactly. 1,800 times you are bending over, lifting a child, wiping, securing a diaper, and lifting them again. If you are doing that on the floor from day one or hunched over a bed that is too low, you are going to absolutely destroy your lumbar spine.
Ouch, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Investing in a proper changing pad and table setup isn't just about the baby's comfort. It's about creating an ergonomic workstation for the adult. You are protecting your own back.
So the pad isn't just a bed for the baby. It's a tool to keep the parent upright and pain-free.
Precisely. And simultaneously, for those 1,800 exposures, you are ensuring your newborn is breathing in a chemically inert, non-toxic environment during their absolute most vulnerable developmental window.
Because they aren't inhaling off-gassing VOCs.
Exactly, or absorbing aromatic amines. The protective value of that environment, even if it is only utilized for 6 months, is incredibly high.
Okay, when you frame it as an ergonomic workstation designed to protect both the adult spine and the infant's respiratory system for 1,800 repetitive tasks, the upfront investment makes complete sense.
The math works out in your favor.
Yeah, the true cost of a cheap toxic pad might be paid in physical therapy for your back or respiratory treatments for the baby later on.
It is always about looking at the hidden long-term costs versus the immediate price tag.
So to summarize this wild logistical journey we've been on, whether you decide to go for the high-tech wipeable pad with a built-in wireless scale, or you choose a plush, moisture-wicking bamboo cover over a traditional pad, or you end up just throwing a muslin burp cloth onto a non-toxic sugarcane bioplastic pad, the mission parameters remain the same.
Exactly right.
You want to prioritize physical safety with raised edges and buckles. You want to minimize toxic exposure by avoiding PVC, phthalates, and looking for verifiable GOTS certifications. And you want to utilize whatever hacks you need, even if it's a puppy pad, to keep your sanity intact.
That perfectly encapsulates the strategy. It's about finding the exact balance of chemistry, biomechanics, and practicality that works for your specific household.
Totally.
But, considering all this, we spend so much time obsessing over the perfect material to lay the baby on. As we just discussed with the rolling alligators, infant mobility increases so rapidly, completely changing the physics of the task.
It really does.
Maybe the future of diapering isn't about building a better table at all. What if the next great innovation is a